Hey guys, welcome. Today we're gonna slow things down a little bit and work on our hips, our low back, our whole pelvic region. During the third trimester, I'm currently 32 weeks pregnant. During the third trimester, there's a lot of changes that go on in your body with your posture. So as belly gets bigger, it can kind of pull us forward. Our core gets weaker, our glutes can kind of disengage, and we can get pulled into this sort of an anterior pelvic tilt. We're gonna try to release some of the tension that may be happening at the back to try to counteract that and just open up through the hips, give our bodies a little bit of love, okay? So it's gonna be slower than the last few weeks have been. If you are uncomfortable lying on your back, some of these moves we will be doing on our back to begin. But if you're uncomfortable on your back, you can do them seated as well. Okay, so you can do them seated on a chair or seated cross-legged. All of the same principles will apply for the first two moves that we're going to be doing lying on our backs. So let's get onto our backs. And the later you get in your pregnancy, the more important it is to get in and out of a floor position properly, so you're kind of coming down onto your side and then rolling onto your back. Shift over. So here, we're not going to be spending too much time. I like to have the fingertips on the hips and the thumbs coming back towards your bum. Okay, so your fingertips are on your hip bones, thumbs coming back, and we're just going to work with our breath here. Inhale, create a little bit of space underneath the spine, and then exhale, tilt the pelvis and press the low back towards the floor. So we're inhaling, and you can do this seated as well. Tilt the pelvis forward, your hands would be on your hips the same, and exhale, press down. If you feel like your low back is really tight, you might not get a lot of movement through here, right? If you're earlier in your pregnancy, you might get more movement. Okay, so once we sort of get a couple of reps in, you might feel like you can get a little bit further. Inhale, create space. Exhale, press. And the movement is the pelvis, and it's not the bum coming up. It's just the pelvis and the core tilting. Inhale, create space below the spine. Exhale, press. Inhale, relax pelvic floor as you create your space. So we're not bearing down, we're just relaxing. And then exhale, press. Good. From here, we're gonna have the feet are hip width apart. Inhale, drop one knee to the side. Try not to let the whole pelvis tilt. Try to keep the hips stable. Exhale, bring it into the middle. Inhale, one leg comes open. And note where your finishing position. So we still have our fingertips on our hips, and we're just gonna feel how far we can go before that leg coming down starts to pull on the hip, right? Exhale in. Inhale, coming down. Try to stay stable, square it off. Exhale, come up. So we're kind of opening up through the inner thigh. We're just getting a little bit of movement through our hip sockets. Exhale to come in. Good. You can do this seated with your feet out in front of you. Good. And then to come up out of that, just roll to your side, press yourself up, and we'll get into all fours. So here, hands underneath your shoulders and knees underneath your hips. Let's just roll the shoulders a little bit. So we're just rolling the shoulders up, backing down. Not much is going on in the spine at the moment. Okay, and then we're gonna find a neutral spine. Right now, sometimes it feels really nice to just let the belly hang, right? We're gonna find a neutral spine here to begin with. As we inhale, we drop our belly and our shoulders come back, spread through the collarbones, tailbone comes up. As we exhale, curl, draw belly in. Open up the back. Good. So this is kind of the posture that we get pulled into as we're standing, this anterior pelvic tilt. We bring it back to neutral, and then we curl. This is our counteracting movement, this cat position, curling the tailbone under and pressing the spine through the shoulder blades. Good. Inhale, shoulders back. Exhale, press. And tuck. Let's do a few more of these. Thinking about what's going on in that low back, right? We're trying to round. We're trying to elongate through the whole spine. As we curl. Good, okay. We'll find that neutral, so we're not letting belly draw us down. We're finding the neutral position with our spine, so there's a little bit of activity in the glutes and the core. Here, rather than the movement being in our spine, the movement's all gonna be in our core. So from this quad position, as we inhale, release belly, and then as you exhale, draw baby, draw belly up and in. Okay, so release on inhale, and exhale, draw in. Good, so you can see, it's probably really obvious on my belly here, how much movement your core can still function while you're pregnant. Inhale, release, exhale. And all of this movement is coming from core, not from pelvic tilting or spine movements. This sort of breath can carry forward into early postpartum and help us to reconnect with our core and our pelvic floor together. Imagine as you're exhaling that you're zipping up a corset. So it's like the hip bones are being pulled closer together, the belly is being drawn in from the bottom coming up. Good, let's do 2 more breath cycles. So inhale, release. Exhale, draw up. 1 more. And don't worry if you're not breathing at the exact same time as me, that's fine. Good. All right, here we're gonna take our right leg up outside our right hand, and we're kind of in this lunge position here. So you can lengthen the back leg back a little bit, bring the hands forward. Inhale, we're shifting the hips forward and we're looking through to find a stretch in both hips. So you might feel it in the back of this hip, in the front of this hip. Bring the shoulder blades back. If you have any kind of wrist pain, you can draw your mat back and then elevate through the wrist a little bit. So it just decreases the angle on the wrist. Okay. So here we're inhaling and then come back and exhale, push back. So the leg is to the side of the belly. We're not compressing belly with the thigh. Inhale, coming forward, still drawing the shoulders back. Exhale, push back. Hips and hands. Get into the hips as we inhale, drop forwards. Get into the hamstrings, the back of the right leg as we push back. Good. Try to keep your movement forward and back, and notice if you tend to like shift out to the sides. We try to keep things squared off, okay, rather than compensating for tightness and moving away from the stretch. We want to stay in it, keep our posture stable. Inhale forwards, exhale back. 1 more on this side. Good, and before we change over to the other side, walk the foot in a little bit, walk the knee in a little bit, so we're back to that like 90-90 in the knees. And we're going to come up. You can use your hands on your knees for a little bit of stability. Tuck your tailbone under here. So we'll do a couple of pelvic tucks just like we did at the beginning. You can have fingertips on hips if you're floating with your hands, if you're not using stability here. Inhale, release a little bit, and then exhale, tuck under. Tuck pelvis and increase that stretch on the front hip. Inhale, release. And exhale, tuck under. Intensify the stretch. Good. On this next tuck, we're going to keep it there. Even though we're inhaling, we're keeping that tuck under. You can reach your arms up. You can have one arm down on your knee if you still need it for balance. Take a few breaths here with the arms reaching up. Notice how elongating this whole side of the body, you're getting the whole line stretching. You can take the left hand over towards the right, open up even more through the side and the front of that hip. Take a few breaths here, squeezing the bum still, trying to tuck that tailbone under. Good. Release. Bring hands back down to quad position. Walk the leg back. Let's do just a couple of hip circles here in our quads. So rocking forward, around and back. And we'll do the other side, same thing. And then bring your left foot outside your left hand. You can walk that right knee back a little bit. And we'll inhale, come forward here, opening up the back of the left hip, front of the right hip. Bring the shoulders back. Good. Exhale, push back. Inhale, come forwards. Shoulder blades back. Connect with your breath here. So as we're stretching, we're trying to tap into our parasympathetic nervous system, calm down our nerves, tell our body that it's okay to relax, to release the tension that it's holding on to. So make your exhales nice and long. We can kind of hack our brain by making our exhales slightly longer than our inhales. So if you're inhaling comfortably for 4 to 5 seconds, you can exhale for 7 to 8 seconds, just slightly longer on the exhale. Magic trick. Good. Okay, walk the foot in slightly, walk that back knee in a little bit. So we've got our 90-90 again. Tuck the tailbone under. We'll just do a few little pelvic tucks here. Exhale, pressing forwards. Inhale, release. Exhale, finding that tuck tailbone under. This is good. I mean, we're doing this in the 90-90 position, but you can do this standing. Like if you're out during your day and you start to experience that low back pain, you can just do a couple pelvic tucks and nobody's gonna look at you funny because you're pregnant. You can get away with anything. So do it standing in the line at the grocery store, if you're waiting for the bus, whatever. If you're working from home, you can stand up and do a couple of pelvic tucks. Just take care of your body. Good, let's do one more here. And then we can add in our arms, both arms if you're feeling stable, one arm if you're not. Reaching up, squeezing your bum, still tucking under. Good, and then take that right arm and reach it over across to the left. Squeezing your bum. Opening up between ribs and hips. One more breath in and a long exhale. Good. And bring the hands back down to all fours. And we'll do a few little rotations here. So it's almost like the cat-cow that we did at the beginning. But we're gonna like draw circles with the hips and shoulders. Good, and then change to the other direction. Good. Take the knees a little bit wide enough for the belly to fit through. And we're going to come down into a child's pose. For here, just drop the forehead down onto the mat. Okay, the bigger belly is, and the later we get through pregnancy, you might feel more comfortable propping yourself up on a pillow, or if you've got a towel or something, you can put it underneath your head or underneath your chest, just so that you can release down comfortably. Take a few breaths here. We're trying to find some length through the spine. Think about walking your fingertips forward and then give traction with your palms on the floor. Sink your shoulder blades back. Get a nice release through our lats and rotator cuffs. Nice big inhale, spreading your ribs and your belly, getting bigger, everything through the torso. And then exhale, everything in the torso comes into center. Good. Come up slightly, and we're going to walk ourselves out to the right of our mat. And we don't have to come down all the way. We're focusing on the stretch that's happening along the left side of the body. So really reach that left arm forward and out. You can think almost about pushing towards that left side. Nice big inhales here. Think about spreading the muscles in between your ribs, the muscles in between your ribs and hips, as well as the ribs themselves. Good. And walking the hands over to the other side. Same thing. Good. Come up, back to center. So it's almost like we're in child's pose, but we've just walked our hands back slightly. From here, let's do a couple of shoulder rolls. And then we're pressing our right hand into the floor, reaching our left arm up. Twist as much as feels good for you, okay? We're not compressing the belly, we're opening up, but don't force it if it feels uncomfortable. If your baby's not in a position that feels good for doing this, then we can just take it nice and gentle. Good. Inhale, coming down, and exhale as you reach. Inhale down, exhale, reach. A little bit of movement through that thoracic spine, your mid-back. One more set each side. Good. That's it. Okay, and one more thing we're going to do lying down. Again, come down onto your side to roll onto your back. And we'll do a few little hip thrusts. So let's start again with just a few pelvic tucks. So inhale, create space. Exhale, curl through. Hopefully it feels a little bit more released through that low back area. Our feet are between hip and shoulder width. Good. And then as we exhale, we're going to squeeze our bum, drive into our heels, and press up. Good. Inhale, come down. Release. And exhale, squeeze up. Get your glutes working. So we can pause for a few seconds here. Up at the top, we're thinking about that little tailbone tuck. Good. Control down. Inhale, release. Exhale, tuck, and press up. Inhale, come down. Exhale, up. Squeeze your bum. Good. Release down. Let's do inhale, drop the knee to the side. Exhale back into the middle. Inhale, knee to the side. Hands on belly or on pelvis so you can feel when your hips, when your pelvic region starts to tilt. Okay, so we try to keep it stable. Open up through the inner thighs a little bit. And engage through your core. As you're bringing your knee back together, you're thinking about pulling your hip bones closer together, zipping that line up the corset of our deep core muscles. Good. And then take your legs nice and wide. Give lots of space for the belly. Hug and rock a little bit side to side. Take one leg out straight, other knee in, towards the armpit. Lots of space for belly here. And then other side, bring knee in, other leg out. Slide it out nice and slow. Good. Knees bend 90 degrees, pop the hips over and roll up to your side. That is it. Thanks for joining me today. You can roll the shoulders, roll the neck. I hope that your hips and low back feel a little bit better than when you started. If they do, please subscribe and like this video. Let me know how it went, and I'll see you guys next week for another one. Bye.